All right. Well, let's hear from Meet the Depressed.
This Sunday, Russian reset. President Trump refuses to blame Russia for the war in Ukraine, seemingly embracing Moscow's views as he negotiates a deal to end the war.
You've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
While Republicans put the blame on Putin.
This man is a cancer and the greatest threat to democracy in my lifetime.
How is President Trump changing America's relationship to allies and adversaries? Plus,
I like the way they call it Russian reset. It's like we got the RPB, Russian playbook. Now we got the Russian reset, RR. And yeah, they're very creative with that.
Deep cuts.
I wanted to find somebody smarter than him.
Okay, now watch this. Oops.
The Russian reset.
Yeah.
The Russian reset has a very storied history. The
Right.
Obama administration tried to launch this big, what they call the Russian reset, after they took office, but it didn't go very well because Hillary Clinton presented Sergei Lavrov with like a literal reset button. But the problem is they spelt reset in Russian wrong, so they couldn't even get the
Right.
translation right. So the reset that the Obama administration handed the Russians, like written in Russian, didn't mean it meant like something. It was like it actually had something to do with like uh anyway, the point is it was the wrong Russian word. So the reset got off to a terrible start because they couldn't even spell
Yes.
reset right in Russian.
Yeah. It was well, I'll get back to you with what it I think it was overload. That's what it was instead of reset.
There you
Russian
go.
overload. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now watch Musk's face here while Trump praises him.
Searched all over. I just couldn't do it.
With thousands of federal workers
Anyway,
fired.
he's like a little happy child who's getting praised by his dad. All right.
Billions of dollars in funding frozen. How far is President Trump willing to go in allowing Elon Musk to reshape the government?
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
That was an amazing moment, by the way, watching him with the chainsaw. I'm very torn with whether or not to react to Elon Musk stuff because he is trolling everyone, but it's hard not to react to it because it's just so ridiculous to see someone with a live chainsaw talking about slashing things. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of not trusting him to be in charge of cutting government programs, I also don't trust him to handle a chainsaw. He's kind of an awkward person.
Yes.
I don't think he should be wielding a chainsaw, especially in a crowded place like CPAC, where this is happening. You know,
True.
a lot of conservatives could get hurt.
Right. That would be awful. Yeah. And Milei was there of Argentina, also kind of an awkward guy.
Very awkward guy.
Yeah.
Caught up in a crypto scam right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you love to see it. It's grotesque, as someone as Irene put in the comments. It truly is grotesque. But luckily, people should know it was a fake chainsaw. I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I didn't know that. That's good. Okay.
I think so. I think so. I'm hoping that they wouldn't have let him use a real chainsaw, but God, it kind of reminds me of Spinal Tap. Just there's something so performative, like with the props, and I don't know if you guys saw Spinal Tap, but they have a Stonehenge clip, sketch, and they have little people because they forget to write the correct dimensions. But yeah, it's very theatrical. So
I didn't know that they made fake chainsaws, but my hope is if this was indeed a fake chainsaw, that better not have been spent with government money because that's an item for Doge to cut. Is people spending money on fake chainsaws? That's not a legitimate government expenditure, even if Elon can use it for a photo op to talk about how much bureaucracy he's cutting.
Yeah. And I don't honestly know. I've heard both things. So let us know if you think it was a real chainsaw or fake chainsaw. Either way, it was very good crowd work.
In a world where it seems like we're constantly being listened to by our phones, our computers, security systems, and Alexas, it sometimes feels pointless to even hope for privacy anymore. Amazon, Meta, and Apple are all using your data to sell you ads. But what if we told you something else was listening to you in a much more nefarious way using your data to sell you to third parties and governments. You may have already guessed what it is: AI. Think about what we tell these AI platforms: our thoughts, dreams, sensitive questions, business ideas, and more. They take all this information, tie it to your identity, and then sell it. ChatGPT literally has the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. That's why we recommend Venice.ai. Venice.ai is a generative AI platform that is private and permissionless. Here's how they do it. They utilize leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. There's no downloads, no installations of anything. Messages are encrypted, and your conversation history is stored only in your browser. And check out their Pro plan, which gives you access to PDF uploads for summaries or insights, plus high image limits and limitless text. If you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or the government, you can get 20% off a Pro plan using our link, venice.ai/useful, and code USEFUL. Click the link in the description to get started.
Good Sunday morning. As the president marks his first month in office, there is growing fallout over the mass firings across the federal government. On Friday night, President Trump removing a number of senior military officers, including four-star General C.Q. Brown, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And overnight, federal employees received an email asking them to summarize their work for the past week. Elon Musk adding failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. It comes as his operatives are now working inside at least 8.
If any worker tweeted as much as Elon does, they'd be fired. Like, Elon is on X all day, laughing at all the jobs he's cutting and warning about all these new woke programs that he's uncovering, which, by the way, have been massively inflated. The Wall Street Journal had an article saying that, like, while the Trump administration claims to have cut $55 billion in waste, it's actually a fraction of that. And actually, very little of it relatively has to do with so-called woke programs. So they're also really exaggerating all the cuts that they're identifying, while meanwhile putting out a bill, a House budget bill, that will go after Medicaid after Trump promised he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, Aaron, speaking of Elon Musk doing things that are not very productive, apparently Kash Patel told his employees at the FBI, for now, please pause any response, because Elon Musk, while he's tweeting the day away, would like people to be responding to, would like to have people email. So maybe we'll see some what would that be? Trumpet on trumpet violence.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard did the same thing. Told people not to engage with Elon Musk's email. So I don't know. Maybe they'll be exempt from having to do this, like their departments, but not everybody. I think for good reason is taking this seriously, because who is Elon to just be asking everyone to tell them like what they're up to? Yeah, especially when he spent so much time screwing up. I mean, he's fired people in really important positions that they've had to rehire, including people who guard the nuclear stockpile. So that would be his list. Like, oh yeah, I fired people who guard the nuclear stockpile. I had to rehire them. Oops. And I spent a lot of time on Twitter. Right. And then I went to CPAC and I paraded around with a prop chainsaw.
I mean, I just hope he doesn't show up at Tulsi and Kash Patel's front door with the chainsaw.
Well, stay tuned.
18 departments and agencies. Musk punctuating the moment by brandishing a chainsaw at a conservative conference in Washington.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw.
Oh my God.
But we've escorted the radical left bureaucrat.
I like the way he calls it. He says chainsaw. It's like it's his pet or something. He's like calling it by a name, kind of like I call my dog by their names.
Rats out of the building and lock the doors behind them. We've gotten rid of thousands.
Back in their districts, Republican lawmakers have been forced to
So he's saying that all the workers he's fired are all radical left. Like, how are they going to respond to that? People who actually just were not radical leftists or leftists at all, but just like federal workers doing their jobs, including at the IRS and the park services and working with underprivileged children, all these things. Like, he's going to paint everyone as radical left. Anyway, I think this will come back to haunt them. I don't think the public is as enthusiastic about firing, just average workers as Trump and Elon Musk are.
Right.
Defend the cuts to voters at town halls from Georgia to Oregon, Wisconsin, and beyond.
I understand trying to do more with less. That's reasonable. What's not reasonable is taking this chainsaw approach, which they obviously admit when they fired these people and then decided, oh, we fired the wrong people. We got to bring them back in. Why is this being jammed down the pipe so rushed and sloppily?
Even one of President Trump's allies, Fox News host Jesse Waters, urging the president to rethink the firings after learning a friend, a veteran, would be cut at the Pentagon.
We just need to be a little bit less callous with the way, Harold, we talk about doging people. Okay, I want that to sink in.
Now,
that's a funny comment. Less callous. So he's okay with being callous and mocking people who are fired, but just less callous because sometimes those people include his friends. So it's a funny. That's like the best way that a Fox News host or Jesse Waters, to be specific, can show empathy. He's like, let's be callous. Okay, let's be callous.
Right.
Let's be like, I'm down with being callous. Let's mock average workers, but let's be less callous.
Yeah.
And that's me being empathetic.
Right. Let's be slightly less sociopathic. Let's tone down the sadism a little bit. And it's so funny. These people are incapable of having empathy. It's only if they know someone it happened to. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be someone that they know. They can't actually care about people as a default. It has to be someone that they know who makes them realize that maybe this isn't a good idea.
President Trump this week also appending decades of U.S. foreign policy towards Russia, suggesting Ukraine is to blame for being invaded by Russia 3 years ago.
Today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
Russian troops.
If you parse what he's saying there, he's not saying that Ukraine started the war. He's saying Ukraine had opportunities to avoid it and then end it. And he's exactly right. I'm not even sure if he fully knows the history, but we've covered extensively. You have a coup in 2014, which the Obama administration backed. Then you have the Minsk Accords, which was the deal brokered by European states, endorsed by the UN Security Council to end the war that began after the 2014 coup, which Zelensky and other Ukrainian leaders ignored. And then you had the Istanbul talks after Russia invaded, which came very close to a deal between Ukraine and Russia, but the US and Boris Johnson stood in the way. So he's exactly right that Ukraine could have stopped this war both before it began, before Russia invaded, when there was just a war going on in the Donbass, and then after Russia invaded. He's right. And of course, because he's admitting the truth, corporate media is having an absolute meltdown. But on that front, for all the harm that Trump is causing in this country, around the world, he's exactly right when it comes to this issue and the fact that it could have been shut down.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny how the resistance is always wrong, always mad at Trump for the wrong things. Like this, or like what he did with when he tried to propose to get out of Syria. They were up in arms about that. Not, though, of course, when he bombs countries or wants to bomb countries or advocates bombing countries.
Strange priorities, these people. Very strange priorities.
Currently occupy about 20% of Ukraine's territory in the east and south. President Trump also falsely calling Ukrainian President Zelensky a dictator.
A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left.
This week you called President Zelensky of Ukraine a dictator. Do you think that President Putin of Russia is also a dictator?
I think that President Putin and President Zelensky are going to have to get together because you know what? We want to stop killing millions of people.
Nice pivot. I mean, he didn't answer the question asked, but
no.
Good pivot.
New York Post unleashing on Mr. Trump, showing Russian President Putin on its cover with the headline, "This is a dictator."
This is written. and this is written by a neocon sadist named Douglas Murray, who spent most of his time since October 7th just manufacturing consent for Gaza's genocide. And it gives you an idea of the kind of people that are behind this proxy war in Ukraine, is people who are just so committed to Western hegemony, whether it's in Ukraine or in Israel-Palestine, that they're willing to say anything. And that's who Douglas Murray is. And that's why, again, for all my criticism of Donald Trump, it's refreshing that neocons like Douglas Murray are having a freak out right now that he's making peace, or he's looking like he's making peace with Russia when it comes to Ukraine. The fact that neocons like Douglas Murray are so upset and so triggered should be seen as a positive sign. Whenever they're mad, you can almost bank on it that means something good is happening for the world. And I think that's the case here, because why would we want to keep fueling this horrible war in Ukraine, which, as Trump said, has killed a lot of people?
Right.
For what?
Well, it's also funny because they point to the New York Post as if it's this respectable outlet. I mean, this is an absolute trashy rag. Even the headline, "This is a dictator," and people should know the kinds of trashy headlines that this place puts out. I remember when Yasser Arafat was dying, they had a headline that was, "It ain't over till the Arafat lady sings."
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, just like so stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
but thanks, Welker, for showing us for keeping your finger on the pulse of the New York Post.
As the reputable newspaper New York Post reported, Putin is a dictator and war is good.